Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of the Gaming V2 podcast, Podcast V2. When the Xbox One was getting closer to launch, Titanfall was the game that everyone was looking forward to, and when it was delayed to March, many were left disappointed. Well, this past weekend, EA launched the beta of the first-person shooter on both Xbox One and PC, and the reception has been phenomenal. With the beta ending soon, we thought we'd take this time to discuss our impressions of what we've seen so far. With me today is Karl Kazan, and our guest this week, Andre Greenidge. So the first thing I want to touch on is, what did you guys think of the controls when you had to set controls for a first-person shooter pilot and for a Titan? Let's go to Karl first.
I found, obviously the first-person shooter controls were exactly what you'd expect, very smooth, very intuitive. Of course, now they're adding in things like wall running, other parkour elements, climbing, this, that, and the other, which it took a little bit of getting used to. Thanks to the tutorial, it made it a lot easier. But I felt it all to be very natural. The thing before this all that I was mainly afraid of was the piloting of the Titans. I was afraid that they'd be difficult or hard or clunky, but honestly, it just felt like an extension of the pilot. As the tutorial actually says, they're meant to be an extension of you, and it did. It felt that way.
Andre?
Yeah, I got to agree totally. The controls were spot on. They were flawless. The nice thing about the agility in the game was just going into the menu option and being able to say, yeah, I want my character to be sprinting all the time, so I don't have to hold that down. And I found once I did that, I was all over the place. I was wall running, I was jumping, double jumping. It was really, really good. The demo with the training took you all of maybe 10, 15 minutes. But what a nice little touch. How many games are really giving us that? And some people could say, oh, I want to jump in and I want to, see what I can do. But this was really nice. It was an element that I really liked. It's just like compared to when you jump into Battlefield. Here's a helicopter. First time you get in it, you crash. This one, hey, run 2 little minutes of, hey, this is what your Titan does. It acts exactly like you do, and away you go. So you only got to do it once. Doesn't take a lot of time, but I really appreciated the effort that they put into that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with the tutorial, and just the controls themselves, they felt so intuitive because they just pulled from so many games like Battlefield and Call of Duty, and just felt natural. Like, everything was just, you knew what you were doing, even with the tutorial. Like, when you watch it, yep, that seems pretty standard.
So, Andre, you're one of those guys who was on Always Run then, I guess.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Once I went into the options, I saw Always Running and, delayed run, and I said, wait a minute, there's no limit to how long I can run. I don't get exhausted. It's not a power like in Halo. I'm like, okay, so I got to do this. I got the need for speed, and I want to be moving as fast as I can. The speed is what drew me to this game, and I think it's phenomenal. It's just a great feature. I don't know why other shooters haven't done this yet.
I think that's a good point. Games they limit you in options, I find, a lot of the time, and this one didn't really seem to do that, and that's really good. Now, I personally did not turn on the Always Run. Maybe I'm just not good enough, but I found the game pretty darn fast enough as it was.
Oh, definitely. Now, speaking of setting options, there's a lot of customization you can do in your loadouts before you start the game, and the Titanfall even introduced burn cards, and if you don't know what those are, they're like perks that you can use upon spawning, and they last until your next death usually. So what do you guys have to say about that, Andre?
I thought that was a really cool system. First of all, I got to say how easy it is to actually get these burn cards. I think you unlock them after a couple of levels, and leveling up was really fast. And you get them upon winning or upon completing challenges with the various weapons at your disposal. So I thought it was a really cool way. It doesn't break the game, because if you kill somebody and they already had a hype weapon, they're not spawning with that hype weapon. You can only have 3 burn cards, and so you really had to choose when to use that. I know a couple of times I accidentally hit something, and then I couldn't get back to my Titan or whatever. I'm like, oh, I just wasted that. But I didn't feel bad. I'm like, okay, hey, I'm gonna get another one. There's getting them fast and furious in the game. You kept if you were winning or doing stuff. So I thought it was a really, really good option.
Yeah, as for the burn cards, I think that's something really unique. That's something I haven't really seen in any other game. I don't know if any game does that, or not, at least not exactly like that. At first, I was a little afraid to use them. I didn't want to waste them, like Andre was saying. I didn't want to blow through them, but you get them at such a frequency, and there's such a variety that you really don't feel bad. Instead, you have so many to pick from. You wonder which one you should use next, and I think that's a great feature. One of the ones I picked up was. I forget exactly what it's called, but I believe it's something about being permanently permanently invisible, basically. And these things will last throughout the entire match or until your first death. But your one of your special abilities as an infantry is to cloak yourself. But now this is going to let you be permanently cloaked, and it still says instead of your cloak for your special ability, you can choose something else. So that's such an awesome little perk. Throw that on with a gun that shoots grenades instead of bullets. Other cool little things that you just don't see it that often. So as for the loadouts in general, they feel very much like your typical Battlefield, Call of Duty, Ghost Recon, that type of thing. But with this addition of the burn cards, it's really really something unique.
Yeah, I just thought the burn cards were just such a cool idea, and despite the fact that they weren't very useful to me because I die a lot, they were a lot of fun, and just adding like 80 seconds on burn to 80 seconds off your clock to before you get your Titan. It was just such a cool idea, and then all of a sudden you have your Titan before everyone else. I just loved every minute of it.
Oh, there's nothing like entering a game within the first 10 seconds the enemy already has a Titan. You wonder how you're
Yeah.
going to win. So,
Well,
But now
what I
speaking
like,
of an enemy getting the Titan right away, what do you guys think about the balance between a Titan and the pilots? So we know that the Titans are meant to be these huge mech tanks, but the warriors or the pilots aren't too weak themselves. So what do you guys think about the balance between those?
I think there's a pretty good balance between those. At first I always thought you think a game like this where you got small little puny humans and you got massive huge mechs like Pacific Rim. You're like, well, obviously the mech is going to be overpowered. It's going to destroy everything. Without a mech, you're going to lose. Blah blah blah. But they give you so many, I guess, options to be completely viable as a lonely little human. Um, on top of what we were just talking about, the crazy speed and all the parkour elements and all that, which allows you to get to places and around the map so much quicker and easier than you could in a massive heavy Titan. On top of that, they give you the other abilities, such as everyone starts with, for lack of a better word, a rocket launcher of sorts that does massive damage to these Titans. So everyone has the capability to take them down. On top of the fact that everyone who gets close enough to a Titan can jump on top and rip open the cap and start destroying the power core. They've really done a lot here to make. If a human gets close to me and I'm in a Titan, I'm genuinely afraid. It's not a guaranteed win for me. If I miss my couple shots at the human, that single human can take me and my massive machine, can take me right out. And that there was something I was afraid they wouldn't do, but they did it perfectly well. On the flip side, I find that the Titans are great. I mean, at a distance, you can take out these humans. If you spot them first, they have to run. They're little ants. It's like you're there with a huge magnifying glass, burning all the little ants. It goes both ways, and I think they did a pretty good job of keeping it even.
I think the balance is spot on. If you are good at maneuvering in the map, a lot has to do with how the level design is really cool. Now, sure, the demo or the beta only had a couple of maps, but I felt, and especially in I think it was Angel City, being in the Titan wasn't a clear advantage because as a human, I was on top of the building, I was in the building, I'm out the window, then I'm throwing an arc grenade down, jumping on top of that mech and taking it down. So I think the balance issue is just spot on. The chain gun for the Titan was, you still needed to land a couple of solid hits. So if you could maneuver and just move and jink as a human pilot, you survived. Now, that's a little different when you get hit by that 40 millimeter cannon. That was something else. So once I had the ability to use that on my Titan, there was no going back because I found I could splatter the humans and do some pretty good damage to other Titans. So like, yeah, I think the balance issue is great. The I found it slightly more appealing. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I found it a little bit more appealing to once my Titan was called, put it in guard mode or follow mode because I found I was just that much more deadly with the pilot, especially once I got the arc grenade and could blind the other opponent and then get on top and then just blow them away. It's really really cool. I don't think there should be anybody's gonna have a problem in saying one or the other is too powerful. Sure, if you get underneath the Titan's foot, you're going down, but they couldn't have made that any other way.
And no, yeah, I can't agree more. Like, I thought the balance was right on there as well. And Carl, you mentioned the parkour, and what was in the tutorial, like the parkour was such a cool element in trying to get around navigating. But I found that when I was actually playing, the parkour didn't really come to effect that much because there weren't as many walls close together that I could actually relay jumps and stuff. But the double jump and the jumping between buildings obviously was huge, and but also with the parkour, jumping onto a Titan and doing the rodeo ride or whatever they call it to fire into the hull. Yeah, absolutely super strong, and you could take down the mech in no time with that.
Yeah, actually, it's funny that you mentioned that. I'm just hoping that with the small amount of maps that they give you in this demo beta, that there wasn't a lot of indoor corridor type environments. Now, I did see some people in that one level. I'm not going to remember the name of it, but the one that has more buildings and less open space. I did see some obviously advanced users, probably the Andres of the game, running around wall jumping from building to building. And I looked at them and I said, "This is where I get a Titan. I'm just going to blow the crap out of them."
Yeah.
Because I can't do that. I'm not gonna be able to. I don't know what it is. I think I just have to get used to it. But right now, at the beginning, I saw these guys. I say, wow, they're good. So clearly, people were finding the areas to do that. But I found, yeah, I think that it the environments it's varied. But I think with the larger map selection, we're going to see more and more different options for that different type of gameplay.
Yeah.
And there'll probably even be more options for the Titan class weapons to take them down. Like I think we only played with two. We had the rapid firing rocket launcher and the lock on rocket launcher. Given a couple more items, I think the pilots are going to have just a very very easy time. Well, not easy, but I think it's definitely not going to be misleading that giant mech equals win. And I gotta say, like one of my favorite tools for taking down the mech was the fully automatic pistol and doing the rodeo ride. You just got on top of that thing, and that pistol went to town. And especially if you happen to have a burn card, like that was the burn card I probably used the most because I'm like, if I get on a Titan and I've got that super amped pistol, it easily became my weapon of choice when I'm running after a Titan, and it I would never have thought that would happen.
So moving away from the actual gameplay, how did you guys feel the performance of the game worked out? Like the matchmaking, the load times, lag, or did you notice any other issues while playing the beta? Carl?
Honestly, matchmaking. I guess that's to be expected. You got thousands upon thousands of users all so excited to jumping into this game right away. It was open, so everyone's into it. But we had some issues where, I was playing with a few friends. We'd all get together in our lobby and we'd try and join a game. And you'd see it load up similar to a typical Call of Duty lobby where you see your team and you see that it's searching for additional players. And then I guess when it tries to merge your lobby with another person's lobby, you suddenly get this massive connecting symbol up on your screen with a circle that's circling, like the game's loading. And then it throws you into another lobby, but then it decides that's not good enough, and then connecting again. And it can do this 3, 4, 5, 6 times in a row. And then, obviously, after too many attempts, one of your buddies gets disconnected, another one gets disconnected. They got to hope to try and get back. So now your party's getting segregated. And that's obviously a never a good problem. We've all experienced that stuff with Battlefield, and that's not fun. So, but you know what? That's to be expected. As for lag, when we were in the game, I noticed nothing. Frames per second was through the roof. The quality of the audio never broke up once. I never got booted from a game when I was in it, and I never experienced any lag. Once we were in, it was perfect. And I might be exaggerating it here. It wasn't that hard to get in. It was just a couple moments in between games when it was trying to find the right lobby. It did its you know, typical thing that we're used to these days with these high-powered video games where it just didn't work right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to agree there. Once you were in a game, it was really, really stable. I think where the problem lies, as Carl said, was once you had friends and you had 3 or 4 people, and you were trying to get into a game, I think it had some problems there. And I'm pretty confident that they're going to work them out because everything else was pretty flawless. A couple things did bother me. One of them on the game front was the 80 seconds in between matches. I don't know why it had that long, and there's only so much you could do in between that time, looking at your stats and changing your loadouts. But the other thing, and I do want to touch on it a little bit, it's not directly in regards to Titanfall and Respawn Entertainment, but just the so terrible Xbox One, party system of trying to party up with your friends and then turning on party chat and then getting them all into the lobby and then getting them into the game. We got our one dashboard update, the February update, and I don't think it really cleared anything up. So I really hope by March 11th that the Xbox One party system is spot on. And when you get that invite from your friend, he says, "Hey, Karl and Scott are playing Titanfall and join game or whatever." I want to see that. I want that ease of the 360 back.
Well, what I thought was funny when I first got Titanfall is right away my friends had already been playing for hours, and they invited me to their party, but they were already in a game. So I'm sitting in the menu, and I can't join their game yet until theirs is done. But not only that, the game wouldn't let me play a game on my own while I'm in their party. I wasn't even in their lobby. I couldn't join another game. But again, these are all small issues that I'm sure they'll work out for launch. This is a beta. This is what it's for, right? Like, they're there to test the service. They're there to test the matchmaking. So
That's true, and you know what? I know this isn't the overall topic, but just to show the comparison here, Battlefield and Call of Duty do the same thing. If I'm sitting in my Battlefield main screen, I don't plan to play, but I happen to be in a voice lobby or what do you call it, a chat with friends, and they're in Battlefield and they join a game, it takes me with them without a prompt,
Yep.
right? So I find that strange. So that's not really a Titanfall thing, and that's more of an Xbox thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've noticed that too, because the first question is, what if I didn't want to join that game? and it's loading me in. What if I'm about to go take a shower? I threw myself back to the main menu to go take a shower, and now all of a sudden I come back and I'm dead 30 times in a game that I didn't want to join. So that's an issue with, I think, with the Xbox overall. But yes, that I always find that strange. And like Andre said, getting more people, the more friends you have, and this is a game for friends, and the more you have, the buggier, I guess, it seems to be. But this is a beta. They have 3 weeks. That is all a server side issue. So hopefully, that's something that they can fix on their end. Hopefully, they're gathering all the pertinent data that they need and they're going to put it to use.
Yeah. All right. So one more question for you guys. Over the past few months, a lot of information has come out about, like, announcements about the game, really, and some has got some negative feedback. Like, they've announced that there's not going to be a single-player campaign. The multiplayer will only be 6v6 when Battlefield 4 can offer huge numbers of players. And my question for you guys is, do you think that what you've seen in the beta compensates for all that, or are we still skeptical that the game may not live up to the hype? Andre?
I gotta say, I'm a huge gamer. I've been gaming for a long time, and having both the Xbox One and the PS4 at launch, and really wanting to get my hands on that WoW game, that game that's going to say, yes, this is my money's worth. I hadn't felt that yet with any of the games that I own for both the next-gen consoles. And so I put a lot of onus on Titanfall. And after hearing that it's 6-on-6 with bots, no single player, only seeing really that one playable demo that we had seen from, I think it was E3, I was very skeptical and stuff, and I was like, you know what? I better not pre-order the collector's edition. Let me just get the regular edition. Let me not put my expectations too high, but they were already high, and seeing it download and getting it onto my console and playing it, I gotta say it was worth the hype. It was worth the wait. I think it lives up and then some for me. It was just the subtle things that the game did, like the differences, the speed, just the kind of like just that cool factor of how the characters look. The fact that every player will get a Titan after 4 minutes. It doesn't matter if you suck. It doesn't matter if you're dying 10 times. It doesn't matter if you're only killing the bots. You're going to be rewarded with the Titan. This isn't a game that is solely for the hardcore Call of Duty. I live in my mom's basement and just play this game and I pwn noobs all day. I felt that I could, contribute to a team, and I felt that I was getting better while playing the game. So I got to say it's definitely it's lived up for me. And I played this game, I got to say, close to 12 hours straight once I got into the beta. Thank God I didn't get it on Valentine's Day, because that would have been over. But I got it on the Saturday, spent the majority of the day playing. I called friends who didn't get in yet, and I'm like, hey, come over and check this out. And I gotta say, like, this is gonna date me as a gamer, but I hadn't felt this vigor since Halo 2, and the first time you dual wielded in multiplayer, and you're just like, holy crap, that's powerful. And you just, there was just something about this game. It grabbed me, and it's still there. So I think the beta success. I think they're geniuses by making it open, because anybody that downloads this beta on the Xbox One, that's got to be a purchase. You're going to play this and be like, okay, I got to get this game, whether they were following it or not. I'm a little bit bummed out that there's no story mode, because I think there's enough story elements in there just by looking at the different costumes and the weapons. Like, there's, the art is all telling you a story. So I'm going to miss that aspect of the game. But again, I can't tell you the last time that I was stoked to play a game that's multiplayer only. Like, you guys know, I'm single player guy. I'm single player guy and co-op guy. But, you know, with having only 6-on-6, you know, if you get a tight squad of even 3 friends and the other team's only going to be, if they're all individuals and they're not working together, you're gonna do some damage. And yeah, the game is really phenomenal for me.
Karl?
I have to agree. You know, I've been following this game since, just like everyone, since they first announced it, and I was excited. And when they announced that collector's edition with that ridiculously massive, Titan statue, I wanted to purchase it. And I didn't. I held off because the little voice in my head. But what if the game's bad? And that's not something I really wanted to do. And you know, now that I played the beta, what did I do today? I called around every local shop. I went on every website, tried to find a place that I could pre-order that collector's edition, and they're all sold out. They're all sold out.
I did the same thing, and I'm pulling my no hair out of my head. I'm like, oh my god.
Exactly. And honestly, I was skeptical. You know, 2-3 weeks ago when they first started saying, "Oh, by the way, there's no single player campaign. Oh, by the way, you saw these massive battles, but that's only 6v6. Everything else is a bot." Everyone starts saying, "Oh my lord, did these guys drop the ball? Like, are they not able to produce? You know, provide what they promised? Did they overextend? You know, their dreams, extended further than their reach, kind of thing." And there's legitimate concern for that. And honestly, they kept telling you, and of course this is canned responses. No, we did it for a reason. Trust us, believe us. It's great. It's perfect. We tried it the way it is. This is how it should be. And of course that's what they're gonna say. They're not gonna say, oh no, we weren't able to do what we wanted, so we're giving you this crappy version instead. So you always took what they said with a grain of salt, because of course they're trying to tell you that that's what they wanted. But after playing it, I believe it. That's what they wanted. It is perfect. The bots play the perfect role in it. I died to bots a couple times. I don't know if I'm a horrible player, but I died to bots. Probably it's true, but I died to bots a couple times, and they play their role. They're there to help you gain some points. They're there to help you gain experience, help you decrease your countdown timer to your next Titanfall. It's just, they did what they needed to do. And like Andre said, I am disappointed that there is no campaign. I'm not going to lie. I wish that there was. Everything, including the loading screens and their tips and stuff like that, all lead to, they have this great backstory, this great world, this universe that they built, and I know in my head, whether they'd say it or not, they wanted to make a story. And I think that they just either didn't have the time to meet, they either had to release a game to meet investors requests, or you name the conspiracy theory, but I think they wanted to do it and they just didn't. I think we will get a campaign video game set in this world in the near future, as long as this game is a success. I think that's the main thing, right? So it's all there. Like Andre said, when you start a mission and you're about to jump out of your flying helicopter type machine, and when you're about to jump out, who's the guy opening the door for you? It's a robot in uniform. Right? You look at that and go, there's a reason they chose to put a robot, not just some dude. Right? Yeah. They have a reason why these things are there, and that reason is part of the story. So we'll get there. We'll get there eventually.
And it could be DLC, so we never know. They could release some kind of campaign afterwards,
which would be great. I'll take a 4-hour campaign for $15 or something.
Yep. So yeah, like when I heard there was no single player, I wasn't too put off. I love multiplayer games, as Karl and Andre both know. When I heard 6v6, I was a little skeptical, but after playing the beta, like, I'm sold. Like, this is a hard purchase, no no questions asked. I'll be getting there launch day and playing it until my thumbs hurt, I'm sure. But with all that said, we are now just going to see if you guys have any final thoughts on your experience this weekend, and if you want to share any quick tales about your playtime. Andre?
Okay, so my tale would be getting a message from my buddy over Xbox One, and he's saying, how you liking the game and stuff like that, and I respond, oh man, it's great. I love rodeoing the Titans and stuff, and he asks me how many, I think they're called seekers, because how many seekers have you hacked? And I'm like, what's a seeker? And he's like the robots in the game. How many have you hacked? He's like, my count is 28. And I'm like, what? So I go into the game, and the minion bots that are in armor and they're robots with flak jackets on, you could run up behind one, hit the X button, and you hack into it, and then they become your little bodyguards. And holy crap, that was phenomenal. Again,
I did not know that.
You see that in when you play the what do you call it? The tutorial. You guy sticks the knife in and he props open the computer. You do that same thing in game, and then they follow you around. So you could pick which ones you want. Are you a close combat guy? You want to get the guy with the shotgun? You're gonna get the guy with the carbine. So that was a lot of fun for going to see how many guys I could hack and get into the game. And I'm like, that's a new touch, man. It's I guess it's kind of like, any of the games where you get follower bots or whatever, but this was cool. You had to go out and get them to follow you. So all the people who were saying that, oh, the minions suck and they don't do anything, I was like, well, you know what? They didn't advertise that you could do this, but it was in there and it was really cool.
I gotta say, I did not know you could do that, and now I have to try that.
Let's fire up that beta.
That sounds pretty. See, there you go. I already loved it anyway, and I'm finding out more stuff that just makes me think that's even cooler than it was. Yeah, that's amazing. I think, from my own experience, I think one of the cool things was I kind of mimicked one of the trailer videos that they showed us a while ago, which was a good thing, because that trailer, they always try and show you the best move, the best things that you can possibly do. And you think, that's awesome, but I'm never going to do that in the game. That's an expert. That's a canned situation. That's never going to happen. And I was wrong. And this situation is simply this. I'm standing around a few other Titans, enemy Titans, and I'm getting bullets flying at me left, right, and center. I'm shooting them, and I'm about to die. I have the perk in my Titan set that it goes nuclear when it destroys. I
Nice.
eject, I get myself out of there. It blows up, damages all the other Titans around me. 2 of them get destroyed, 1 of them is not destroyed, but it's badly hurt. While I'm flying in the air high above the battlefield, I aim myself strategically to land right on top of that remaining enemy Titan. I land right on top, rip open the cap, shoot the remainder of its core, boom, it's dead. And I look at that, I'm like, that was basically an exact ripoff of what I've seen in the trailer. But the fact that I was able to pull that off, the fact that that means that any other mediocre player out there can pull that same thing off and feel like, a hero, like a Rambo, all on their own, that was just, you walk away saying, the feelings you get from it. You don't just feel like it's just any other shooter. Oh, well, big deal. The stuff that you can. Here I am telling you this story about this situation. I don't have stories like this for Call of Duty. Even if I go on even if I go on a 10 kill streak, I don't have a story like this.
Yeah.
It's never as cool. All I can say is, yeah, I killed 10 guys, big whoop. But in this, I have this. I only killed 3 guys, only 3, and the story's 10,000 times better. So,
Yep.
it's those little things that I think are just they're just phenomenal. One thing I wanted to touch on that I forgot to mention that was somewhat of I guess a disappointment. It can be patched later. Is the end of the game screen? They make it really hard for you to see your kills and deaths, and other things like that. You can break down how you got your experience, and you can scroll through that experience, and then it'll tell you exactly how. Oh, you got this experience by getting this many kills But there's no that typical Excel type, Microsoft Excel type, ending screen that tells you your kills and your deaths and your points and your assists. That's not there. I don't know if that was intentional. Or
it's there for every game I play.
if you go afterwards into the game summary, it's not there.
Oh, after you exit the game.
After you exit the game, you're in the lobby waiting for the countdown. You kind of want to go over more of like, how did I do last game? It's not. It's just little things. Battlefield has it. Call of Duty has it. Halo has every game pretty much in history has it, except Titanfall.
And
I don't know if that was exactly.
It might be in the final game too.
And I'm hoping so. So, but I think overall, it blew me away. And I think that's the main thing. There was one more thing I wanted to say, and I forgot. So we'll
Well,
just go with thumbs
in
up.
the meantime, it was cool because I was looking on and chatting with more friends, and it was kind of this unanimous feeling of my Xbox One is no longer a paperweight, and
Yeah.
that it's like I said, it made me glad that I got my Xbox One on launch, because while it is more readily available than the PS4, there's no Xboxes in my immediate area. No Xbox Ones, like the EBs and Future Shops in my local neck of the woods don't have them. So I'm like, well, you know what? I'm happy now that come March I am set when this game comes out, and this is going to be a midnight launch game for me. This is me going out on midnight and hopefully taking that next day off and
You
playing
won't be
hard.
alone.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's pretty clear that this beta has turned 3 fans into 3 fanatics, so we'll definitely all be in line on March 11th when to pick up the game. But unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this week. So for Gaming V2, I'm Scott Bailey.
I'm Karl Kazan.
And I'm guest Andre Greenidge. Thanks for having me.
All right, and thanks a lot for being here with us, and we'll see you next time.